Hello. Just me and you so far, Cecilia.
How are you today?
And you're in the car. Look at you.
It's me and my husband.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Good deal. So we'll give it a couple more minutes, but just for everyone to kind of chime in if anyone else comes. If not, hey, me and you get a little chase time. I'm so glad to have you. Have you done your workouts and stuff?
Yeah, I worked out
How's
this
the
morning.
challenge been for you? Oh, wait, I can't hear you.
How do I figure this out? I've never done it on my.
Oh, wait. I should probably turn up my volume. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, my volume wasn't up.
Okay. I worked out this morning, and I do like strength training mostly, but so I walk my daughter to school in the morning, most mornings, and then I do strength training afterwards.
You do it at home or you go to a gym?
At home. We have a gym in our garage.
Yes, I love gym. Look, we're in my garage. I know.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome.
I love it. I love it. Well, good deal. How are you feeling on the challenge so far?
It's been tough. Honestly, I'm so busy that it's 2:30. I still have not had lunch.
Okay. Okay. Where are y'all going? Where are y'all headed to?
Well, we're in the school pickup line, but I'm a real estate agent. So I'm just pulled every which way.
Every different direction.
And the mom and the wife. Most of the time my husband works out of state. So yeah, it's just me.
I feel that. My husband travels too. So I definitely feel that. Like you turn into like this almost like single mom mode. And I'm like, why is this so hard?
Yep.
I feel that. Well, good. So a little bit about this training. It might just be me and you, but we're going to hash it out. And it's about 40 minutes for the training, and which works out well because you're in the pickup line. So and then I will send out the recording to this as well. And so there are action steps that we will kind of use and have time to or allotted for to make sure that we're leaving this training and leaving this workshop with like action steps and things to be able to implement. So we'll dive right in. So a little bit about me. My name's Chase. I'm a certified personal trainer and nutritionist since for a long time, like I think 11 years now. And going through a little bit of my background story, I coached gymnastics and cheer since I was 15 years old, did competitive cheerleading, and then that transitioned into working with adults. And as much as I wanted to, like I ran my own all-star cheer program, and as much as I wanted to like impact those kids, and I was like, cheer is going to do that for them. I got to the point where I was like, wait a minute, I only see them like 4 to 6 hours a week. This is not enough time to be able to like fully make an impact in their life. And that transitioned me into coaching, actually personal training. So from the coaching side of like cheer and gymnastics into personal training. And then over the years, that's really, especially the last couple of years, that's really transitioned into more so of helping women, moms, especially being able to create a foundation of health and fitness through habits and routines, which is my coaching program, in order to create that household of health. And it's always been something like over the years, I believe God has like developed it into okay, great, you were a coach with kids then, and then how does that coaching become a trainer, and how does that trainer now become like an actual coach and working with women and moms to be able to help establish impact for the next generation. And so that's kind of how that little storyline went. And I've got a great background of like different things I've done training wise as well, and just like different companies I've partnered with and growth wise and concerns to like my training background. And then through COVID, which I think everyone had a life altering experience through, going through the COVID experience. But that really like challenged me on how I supported my clients, and which is what made, inspired me to launch my own business in 2020. So left the company I was partnered with, and then rolled into end of 2020. I was like, all right, I'm doing this on my own, and we are going to be a coaching, and this is how we're going to do it. And this is how I support people. And so taking the lifelong journey and really just putting it into an actual application. And so, so that's kind of developed over the last couple of years. And so basically a little bit about this training and what we'll be able to take away. So of course, it's called the People Pleasing Recovery System. I, again, working with moms, a overwhelming feeling from them is very common. We have a tendency as mothers to be open to accepting more on our plate, right? We're very receptive of, oh, I can handle that. Oh, I can handle that. Oh, I can handle that. And we also take that accepting mode, and we then all of a sudden become, oh, I'm now carrying everything on my shoulders. Life is like sitting up here and I don't know how to breathe. And the first things to go end up being the health and fitness stuff, the workouts and the eating well, or, not eating, after a long period of time, like you said earlier. And so, and I will be totally transparent. I am having one of those days where I've only had breakfast today and not every day is perfect. And so, but again, just working with clients and women over the years, like I know that this is something like us being women and emotionally attached to, the people that we serve. God designed us that way, and, which is a wonderful quality, but as culture has changed and as, we want to be doing more in, the Pinterest world and all of those things where we think we have to show up so perfectly beautifully. It just doesn't exist. And so that's really helped me as working with women over the last couple of years, really helped me establish my strengths that God has given me, and to be able to help women through a people-pleasing recovery system. And my business coach actually helped me name this mini series that I am like super passionate about, because he was like, oh, well, this is who you serve, and this is what, you do a good job at it. And I'm not saying I was perfect at it from the beginning, but I will say that through the years of being that, having a perfectionism type space, like for me, and wanting that picture perfect, I was like, wait a minute, like I don't need to please people or serve people in these ways just to feel like I'm serving my family. And in order for me to be able to give better, I have to give myself better. And so anyway, so through today's training, we'll be able to kind of just have some clear understanding of like how to set some boundaries, what a boundary looks like, and how to get clear on what spaces will serve us and what spaces we'll be able to let go. And then we're also going to do a little bit of action taking in concerns to setting those boundaries and drawing some actual lines for us where we can establish what is serving us well, what's not serving us well, and be able to let some of that go. And then also do some time blocking activities, because I think this is a huge piece in making sure we're able to see our week in full view and know how to like, okay, this isn't serving me, this isn't serving me, this is not a priority, and to be able to time block those spaces and put them into like a weekly view and be like, okay, I know what my week looks like, I know how to serve in this space, and I know how to show up for me first, God first, family second, or however you want to put yourself in there. Because for me, I'm like, babe, I have to serve myself first before I can serve the family. And so, but it goes God first for, God first, then me, and then I can serve the family. And so, just kind of understanding of where that is. And as being a people pleaser, again, this isn't something like I'm not a big people pleaser, but I do know I serve women that are people pleasers because something that I have a strength in, I am very good at saying no. I'm very good at knowing like where my boundaries are and like, hey, that's not serving me. And so I am able to help people classify where those lines should be in their own lives through conversation and discussion. And so that's why, again, why I'm a coach. So let's jump in. Biggest takeaway, what are you most excited about real quick before we go forward? What are you most excited about hearing?
I am a people pleaser. I would say more so like outside of the home.
Okay. As your husband's sitting right there.
He's like shaking his head. No, outside of the home, I'm a people pleaser. Like with my family, I was before I put up a boundary. And like because I'm so new in my industry, I think I'm such like a yes person just because I feel like I have to say yes to like prove myself. But at the same time, like a lot of what I have been saying yes to has not been fulfilling or helpful to me. And so just learning that I am a people pleaser outside of the home is not good because I need to be focused more inside of our house than outside.
Yes. Yeah. And it's amazing how quickly the external things are like, this is important, this is important, this is important. And then after you start getting involved in all of it, you're like, wait a minute, this is not serving me and it's definitely not serving my family. So that's great. That's great. Okay. Well, let's jump in. So we're going to get clear. And I know you mentioned a couple of things. And I love that. Thank you for sharing. So we're going to get clear. So the first piece will be getting clear. The second piece will be like more of the setting boundaries from what we've established in the clarity. And then the third piece is going to be the time blocking and prioritizing. So it's going to be like a 3-step process. So process number 1, we're just going to talk about getting clear. So I'm going to ask you a lot of questions. And yay for, I'm going to put this on a recording, or I am recording this. So I appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
You get like a full on like 101 style. So I'm loving it. Instead of me just like winging this all by myself, because I would have totally done that too. So, so getting clear. So let's talk about, first and foremost, in concerns to fitness and lifestyle or fitness and nutrition routine. And yes, can establish like this is all focused around fitness and nutrition, but in order to have better boundaries in that space, we have to have understanding of like where we're wanting to go. And so spending a little bit of time here. So what do you want to achieve in your fitness and nutrition regimen? So spend a second there kind of thinking through that. And if you don't mind sharing.
I would say consistency. Like I have the hardest time staying consistent. A lot of like mental health has to deal with that. Also too, with my husband working outside of the state, I have realized since we got married that I'm pretty dependent on like codependent almost. But we're also newlyweds, so that kind of sucks. But consistency, I'm not able to stay consistent more than like 3 weeks, and then like I'll go hard for 3 weeks and then I'll fall off, and then I'll get back on and then fall off. So where I want to go is to be consistent, but also to like finally achieve my goals,
Yeah. And so I would challenge you probably moving forward is getting clear on what those goals are. And so once I send out this recording, like go take a second and be like, all right, I'm going to write down, what do I want to achieve? Let's pull Brianna in here. Yay. Okay. So being clear on like what I want to achieve and establishing that first. So then like, hey, what are my goals? Like, what am I working towards? And how am I going to get there? And then you can pull that back into that consistency mode, which we'll talk about that later as well, like how to pull that into the planning. And then in concerns to trying to get to where you're wanting to go. So obviously we've got a goal. And then we've got pulling in Brenna. We've got Brianna and Brenna. Hey ladies, how are y'all? Brenna is expecting her second baby. So yeah, love it. Okay, so where we're gonna getting in place of like what is getting in the way of achieving those goals. And so when you again, our goal is to be consistent, but what gets in the way? So I know you mentioned, okay, we've got husband traveling, we've got kids, we've got a couple of things in there. So spending some time, one, setting the goals. So we're gonna set our goals first. And then we're going to be like, okay, well, our goal is to, if it was getting consistent, right? Or what do we want to achieve with those goals in order to get to the goals? What do we need to achieve? Getting clear there. And then on the next piece, what is getting in place or getting in the way of you achieving those two things. So again, you've got 3 buckets that we're working on right now. So bucket 1, what do you want to achieve? What are those goals? And then, what is getting in the way of trying to achieve those things? And so spend some time kind of in that place, getting clear. And then the next piece here. So what are some areas of life that you feel is taking over? So like, I know for me, time, it's like the time, this is something that as an example. So time is something that is taking over. Like, it's like, oh, the day is gone. Like, as I mentioned, I was being transparent earlier. Like, I've not eaten since breakfast. And I'm like, okay, it's 2:00,
Yeah.
And so time has, gotten away from me. So areas of my life that you might feel is getting in the way is taking over. It could be work. So work is you're saying yes to too many things in work. It's too many activities that you're trying to get to with the children throughout the week. It's too many things, like there's not structure with the kids and the house feels like chaos. Like, and then you're constantly running around picking up. Or, those are some examples of areas in your life that you feel is taking over, where you might need to have some better boundaries. Or is it too many family members are wanting to spend time with us, and it's like now we're not able to spend time in our family unit. And so sometimes that can come into effect as well. It's like it's messing with our family dynamics, and now my kids are not even able to like listen, and they're not following instructions because there's always too many people trying to like control the space. So that's something to like where we would, kind of structure needing more boundaries. And then the third piece again is back to that like time. Like there's not enough time in the week. And when it comes to not having enough time, that's where you have to like step back and go, what is a priority? What is most important? And what needs to be said no to? And then another like kind of nugget. So obviously, what do we feel is being taken over? So spending a moment there, kind of just reflecting. And then the next moment would be, how do you feel you might be taken advantage of? So in your spaces, we talked about a couple of different ideas there. Where do you feel either people are taking advantage of you, or people may not be clear? And it might be people, or it might be yourself. Like, hey, maybe I'm just not saying no enough. That's okay too. But where do you feel that you were being taken advantage of? Or, which I'm sure my husband can say this. He's like, I'm always the one that has to go to the grocery store. And I'm like, well, that's your thing. And you won't let me go. So anyway, so just trying to figure out like, where do you feel you might be taken advantage of? And then kind of like take a nugget there. And the last question, and this one might be a little difficult to spend some space in. Are there people in your space that do not serve you? And I'm going to say that again. Are there people in your space that do not serve you? And I'm going to add into this because as we, especially in our fitness and nutrition, right? Like, hey, I've got, my goal is to, let's just say, lose 20 pounds, or my goal is to work out 5 days a week. If we have people in our space that are like, I just want to go out to eat. So if my goal is weight loss, and I've got people in my space that are constantly asking me to go out to eat, to hang out with me, or if they are, that's just one example. Or say my husband, I'm pretty good at setting boundaries with my husband. So, but I'm using this as an example because this might be something that could be affecting your space. Even though I love my husband, and I know y'all love your husbands too. But as if your goal is to be losing 20 pounds and your husband's coming in saying, "Hey, do you want some ice cream for dinner?" Or not dinner, for dessert, that might not be serving you. And there might be some other people like, hey, if your cutoff time for work is 5 o'clock and people are always calling you wanting your time at that 5 o'clock hour, learning where those lines are and those people that are not serving you. And if they're calling just to like complain, or if they're calling just to, have your time, again, how are they not serving you in that space? So if there are people in your world right now that are not serving you to get you to that next level of you, whether that being showing up consistently in your workouts, whether that's hitting your weight loss goal, whether that's you're trying to eat healthier, but people keep inviting you to go out to eat, what is not serving you right now? And that also might be something in the lines of like, going out, like drinking mode. Again, if someone's wanting to hang out with you, but you have 5 a.m. workouts and they're like, well, we're meeting and we're going to go have a couple of drinks, whatever, after work. I'm just throwing out different scenarios here, but how can you, again, let's talk about how they're not serving you, and then figure out, from there, you're able to figure out what boundaries need to be in place. Because just because they're not serving you in that moment of growth in your space doesn't mean you have to like nix them for life, right? Especially if they're your husband. But having that full on conversation of, hey, I'm working on this. This is what I'm trying to achieve. I would love your support. And here's where I'm going to have to set some boundaries, and be clear and be straightforward with it. So that's a perfect segue. But before we get into our setting the boundaries, I want to hear from you guys. Any takeaways that maybe a nugget that you were like, hey, that is something yes, that hit me hard. That hit home with me. Just kind of come off mute and share. And don't be scared. Y'all. Okay. Well, hopefully you're getting some takeaways. So let's move on. So let's talk about what those setting the boundaries would look like, and how to say no. So again, once we went through that, a couple of different scenarios there on the getting clear. So now from here forward, you should have a moment of like, okay, what areas of my life are, what people are not serving me, and where am I being taken advantage of? And then what areas is taking over. So we have a couple of nuggets or a couple of things that we had already previously worked on. Now, how do we say no? How do we set these boundaries? What does this look like when it comes into your space? And I'm going to challenge you guys, because the biggest piece on this, if you're not clear on what you're trying to achieve, you're going to keep saying yes. I'm going to say that again. If you are not clear on what you're trying to achieve, you're going to keep saying yes. And in order for you to be able to say no, it starts with you understanding where you want to go. And so, oh wait, hold on. Pulling in. Okay. And so on the way to say no, we're going to, first things first, is establishing the, the boundaries. So what is that boundary? Is it going to be a conversation? Is it going to be you mentally saying, at this time, I'm closing shop? Is it going to be, because sometimes when it comes to people, like when you're dealing with people coming into your space, and you constantly saying yes to people, like being the yes person, that's going to take probably a conversation first or a hard line, meaning like in order for me to show up for my workouts, I have to be done working at 5 o'clock. So I can do a 5:30 to 6:30 workout. This is just an example. So at 5 o'clock, it's either closing down shop and you're setting that boundary within yourself saying, I'm now shutting down, I'm not doing this. And then the second piece to that would be if you're having people like calling you, messaging you, texting you, sending you an email at 5:15 and they need something immediately, that's you setting the boundary for yourself saying, I'm not doing it, I'm closed up, right? I'm closed shop. Or if it's becoming more of an issue, like it might have to move into that conversation mode where you're like, where you have to have a conversation with that person and saying, hey, this is my boundary. Like, again, conversations will look different depending on what the scenario is. But basically going into that conversation of, hey, we are saying like, this is a hard line for me at this time, from this time, I've got a previous engagement, which you don't have to say you're working out. Like a meeting with yourself is totally fine. And you have something on the calendar, which yay, time blocking here in a minute. But being able to set those boundaries with the people around you. And again, I'm going to use one of those scenarios we talked about earlier. If you've got those friends that are constantly asking you to go out to eat, or they're like, hey, let's go hang out in this space, be like, hey, I really want to hang out with you and I really want to be with you, but I'm working on this 20-pound weight loss goal. And right now, eating out is not serving me. And so I still want to be with you and I still want to see you, but is there something else that we can do with an hour and a half of our time together? Maybe going on a walk, maybe doing a workout together in order to have community with boundaries. Again, that's you setting your boundaries of that align with where you're wanting to go. And if it's taking on too much and you're saying yes to too many things, again, figuring out where those hard lines are and what needs to be eliminated, which we talked about in our getting clear section. And so again, it's either A, setting the boundary with yourself, being like, hey, I'm not doing this anymore. And I'm going to use this as an example. I quit going to Starbucks. It was not serving me anymore. I quit it back in December of last year. And I have people that are like, oh, can I bring you Starbucks? I'm like, no, like there's a couple of reasons why I'm not going to Starbucks. One, financially, I'm like, I'm just not going to spend money on that anymore. Like I can make a great cup of coffee at my own house. Like setting those clear boundaries for myself where I was like, no. And then also too, like even when people are like, hey, can I get you a Starbucks? I say, no, I quit Starbucks a while back. And so then they know my boundary, right? And this is a very simple analogy here. And then the next piece to that is, I don't even drive, just not even going anymore. Like you just totally, again, just stopping it all together, setting that boundary with myself. And then let's kind of move into that next piece. So if you guys have any takeaways from that, the setting the boundaries mode, would love to hear from you. Would love for you to come off of mute and maybe share one or two things of nuggets that you feel that you will be able to implement into your space to set better boundaries in your area. So
I'm getting out of the car, so sorry. Okay. But as far as like setting a boundary, like you were saying, how like friends want to hang out and stuff. So I'm actually new to the area that I live in, but in order for me to make friends, what I did was I posted on our town's Facebook group, and I said I walk 3 days a week in the evening at my daughter's elementary school. Want to be friends? Let's walk together and hang out. So that's how I started having friends, was just walking. And if she wants to, the one that comes consistently, if she wants to hang out and talk, we don't hang out anywhere else. We go walking. That's like my one, because we will get like caught up 2 hours talking about all kinds of stuff. But if we're going to talk, we're going to walk. So that's my biggest boundary, is if you want to hang out and your goals, like I try to hang out with people whose goals reflect mine. But if we're gonna hang out, we're not, as much as I would love to do chips, salsa, and some margaritas, we're not doing that. We're going walking. So
I love it. And I love that you're already implementing that. That is so fun. I think I remember seeing you post that, to be honest. Did you post that in our Moms of Lake City or whatever?
no, I moved to East Tennessee.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, some other mom must have just recently did that because I'm like, oh my God,
probably.
that is so fun. So sweet. So let's talk about time blocking. It's a great segue moving into the time blocking mode. Because again, these 3 points kind of build on each other. So again, getting clear on what we're trying to achieve, getting clear on, those areas that are taking over and the people in your space that is not serving you, and then be able to understand like what are those boundaries. And then once you figure out, okay, I've set the boundaries, now we go into the time blocking mode where this definitely comes into play, especially when you're trying to stay consistent and get into a workout routine that stays in place. I may plug my phone, or not my phone, my computer. It just gave me an alert. It was like, plug in so you don't die. So time blocking. Again, this piece is probably one of my favorite things to do. And if I shared my calendar with you guys, you would probably be like, what? This girl's crazy. And the only reason I am so adamant about this is because the more you're able to set those boundaries and those lines, the more you're able to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish. And so again, if it's goal oriented and like, hey, my goal is to, again, back to that 20-pound mark or weight loss goal. If the goal is 20 pounds, okay, what are the things that you need to do on a weekly basis to establish and to hit that 20-pound mark? And so then you're able to just put it into again, time blocking, or I'm sorry, like understanding of like what needs to be accomplished. And then you plug those things first into your calendar. And some people don't work off of a calendar. Some people, might just be like, oh, I just kind of fly by the seat of my pants. If that is you, okay, that's fine. However, how has that behavior served you to get you to where you are now? And if it is still like I'm saying yes to too many people, or I'm, trying to make sure that everyone's happy, if the behaviors that you've previously been doing have gotten you to where you are now, it might be time to like, okay, how can I shift this moving forward and try something new to implement a new process. And so when it comes to time blocking, whether that's an electronic calendar or a paper calendar, I would say starting somewhere is better than not starting at all. And again, back to hey, what things need to be achieved in order for me to hit my goal, and take you to where you're wanting to go. And so time blocking. So let's talk about what this might look like. So this will be some action steps that you're probably going to have to spend some time on and like sit down and go, okay, what are my priorities? Back to all my clarity questions, right? Like what things do I need to be doing in order to achieve those things? And then what needs to happen every single week in order to achieve the most important? And so, and again, it could be like, hey, I say yes to too many things, and I need more time with Jesus. And to be honest, like that's one of my top priorities. I'm like, when is my Jesus time throughout the week? And when can I have to make sure that that's a priority first, because the closer I am and the better my relationship is with Jesus, the better I can serve my community, the better I can serve in my family, and the better I can serve, my clients. And so Jesus time, and then it comes right after Jesus time, I block out my workout space. Like, when am I working out this week? When does that fit in? I need at least an hour for, depending on what I have going on, 4 to 5 times a week. And that's for my goals, but plugging in the workout space and sticking to it is going to be probably harder than actually putting it in the calendar. Because just because you put something in the calendar doesn't always mean that you're going to show up. However, Cecilia's like, yeah. However, you don't miss your dentist appointments, right? You don't miss a potential client call. You don't miss going to your kids' activities. Like I don't miss Harper's swim lessons, and I don't miss Landry's dance class. Like those things are on the calendar, and like we're paying for them, right? So on the back end, how, again, going back to your priorities list, like in order to get to where you're trying to achieve and get clear on that space, what does your week look like? And does it need to be 3 days a week of walking, like Cecilia said, or is it 4 or 5 days of actual workouts and showing up on a workout regimen? And so plugging those into the calendar. And then on the back end, I'm also going to talk about eliminating. So as you're adding those priority things, those things go on first. And then you start to plug in, work stuff. You start to plug in your meal prepping time, your grocery time, and plugging in those things that, again, will serve you and concerns to your priorities. What is most important in my life? What's going to serve me the best? And right now I'm in a season, and as an example, I'm in a season of community where I'm saying yes to all my friends because I'm like, I need more people in my life. And so for me, I'm like, okay, but I can't say yes to every single person and have something going on 5 times a week. I can say yes to 2 things a week. And that's my community small group with church. And that's like maybe an extra community thing that I do with one other person, like whatever, maybe it's workout with somebody or something. And so again, going back to your priorities list, and is it aligning with what you're trying to achieve on your clarity stuff? And again, just time blocking and putting those things into your calendar and showing up to them like it's a dentist appointment, and showing up to them like it is a kid's activity. And because if you don't put you first, you cannot show up to your clients, to your family. And the longer that you minimize that or whatever, then you're not able to serve those around you, because you're not serving yourself. And even though that sounds selfish, it's actually not, because you're actually, the more that you're able to put you first and serve you better and serve you to the best that you can, you're able to be the full you to the people around you. And that made me sweat a little bit because it's so true. It's so true. And so again, hopefully you got a couple of takeaways from each one of those segments. Again, back to the clarity, getting clear on what you're trying to achieve. Point number 2, setting those boundaries. How do those boundaries need to be set in your space? And then number 3, time blocking and putting those things into the calendar for yourself in order for you to show up for yourself first, to be able to show up for those around you. So in closing, I just want to let you know, like, this is part of what I do in my coaching business, or in my coaching company. Yes, it's about fitness and nutrition. And yes, we talk about those things, but it's really about coming down and setting a foundation, a firm foundation, in order to learn or to scale and to move your fitness and nutrition routine into the next level. But in order to go to the next level and to achieve those things, there has to be a firm foundation. And a lot of those conversations around setting boundaries and having a full understanding of what the basics are first is key in helping you get to where you're wanting to go. So hopefully this was educational for you guys, and hopefully you guys are able to take something from this and be able to implement it. Taking action is going to be able to, again, just I don't even know where I was going with that, but taking action. So it was great that you guys showed up, but how do we keep the momentum moving forward? And that is going to be up to you. So taking that list and actually spending about 30 minutes and maybe writing down what those clarity numbers are, or clarity conversations were, implementing those, setting those boundaries for you. And then number 3 is to be able to time block them and put them in your calendar. And so in order for us to see these things move forward, we have to get good at the simple things in our space. And again, hopefully this was good education for you guys, and love that y'all were here with me today. So any takeaways, anything that you guys want to add or say that you're most excited about implementing here moving forward?
Hey.
Hello.
I was doing dishes and making a whole bunch of noise, so I didn't want to get on the thing and be walking around. So I have a couple of things. What I found was kind of helpful was color coding my calendar and putting different calendars for different things to be able to like click and click off and see everything pop up. Yeah, so that might help people. And then another thing I heard not too long ago was, so if you say yes to something, what are you saying no to?
Mic drop.
Yeah, so I heard that the other day and I was like, man, that's so true. So if I say yes to this, then maybe it's a no for my priorities, like kid time.
Yeah. Kid time, Jesus time, workout time.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's good. That's really good. Thanks, Bree. How are you?
Good. Yeah.
I'm good. So Celia, Bree and I have known each other since like 1998.
Or 2000, because I remember being in Alberg with Y2K was going on.
Exactly. We thought the world was ending.
Yeah.
That's so fun. Cecilia, what about you? Takeaways, biggest thing that you are taking away from this training and to implement?
Well, I have time blocking. I have some boundaries placed. I just need to be more firm on them. But I also need to get clarity about my goals.
So how are you going? Are you going to spend some time today? Are you going to spend some time in the next 24 hours? How are you going to get clear on this?
Well, because I have the next 2 days already time blocked out, I'm going to spend some time on Friday. Friday.
Okay, on Friday, getting clear on what we're trying to achieve. Good.
Yes.
So I'll send out this recording too, so you can listen back to that little piece of the clarity questions.
Mhm.
And then that way it kind of like nudge you into like, okay, this is what I'm trying to do and try to achieve. So I love it. Absolutely love it. Well, I thank you guys for joining me today. That's all I got for y'all.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Great.
And again, I'll send this out and the recording once it's downloaded. So thank you guys.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Y'all too. Bye.
Bye.